Okay, my name is Herald Douglas, but a lot of people know me by my moniker DJ HD. As the name suggests, I'm a DJ, local DJ. Started out doing nightclubs and house parties around the University of Cincinnati scene, and now I kind of travel from city to city doing events and concerts and DJing some of the coolest stuff in the country.
That's what's up, man. As your journey to being a DJ, has it been surreal? Tell us about.
Very much so.
Tell us about it.
Very much so. So I actually, when I first started DJing, I didn't even I knew I wanted to be in hip hop, but I didn't even know the first thing about DJing. I didn't know that I even wanted to do it. So I started off as an artist, a hip hop artist, and I didn't see that going very well, so to speak. So then after that, I just knew I wanted to dabble in it. So I started, I was in fashion for a little while, sold t-shirts with rap lyrics. I was like one of the first people doing that. And then I had a hip-hop blog, deeperthanbass.com, where it was basically the rap genius of the day. But we didn't go into that much detail. We basically just took a few select lines out of a hip-hop song and explained it. So I was kind of experiencing a little bit more success with that than any of my previous ventures. So I was like, okay, this is where I am. And I'm like, how can I take my blog to the next level? So I was like, I need to be deep in the culture. How can I do that? I tried being an artist, tried fashion. So DJ was the last thing that I landed on. And of course, when you have a hip hop blog, you're obviously interested in getting new music, displaying it for people. So it just was a perfect fit. And then when I started DJing, I actually didn't know the first thing about getting into the nightclub scene. So for about maybe 6 months after I went to school for DJing, I took like a 7-week course at Scratch Academy in Miami, Florida. Yeah, and which my mom paid for. Thank you. She paid for that. It was like my first investment into my career. And she paid for that course, and I came back. I knew what I was doing, but I didn't have equipment. I didn't know how to get into the scene, none of it. Like, I would go to clubs. I went to clubs, but I just didn't know who to talk to or even how to find out. So I shadowed an older DJ for a while, for about 6 months, and I was doing like family reunions and old school parties and stuff like that for like a while. So then when I first broke into the nightclub, let's travel back. I did a few house parties at UC. We threw a house party. Actually, I couldn't even get into the house party scene. Nobody wanted me to DJ a house party. Like, it was like that real. It was like house parties didn't even really have DJs. Nobody wanted to pay you. It was like, we just gonna play music off iTunes, and then when it runs out, somebody else can just change it. So it was like, okay. So then I started, we decided to throw a house party. My boy had an apartment in Clifton, and it was like a 7 or 8 unit apartment. And everybody in the unit was real cool. So everybody just kind of got involved with the house party. So we kind of had like 8 units of party and steps. Like, it was like the craziest thing too. We just do it in one day. And then I was like, I knew I was good because I had been practicing by myself for like 6 months. Like, I just never played in front of people. So by the time we had that party, it was actually a little harder than I thought. And I was actually trash, but like for the first 2 hours, killing it. I was killing it. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, you so much better than all the rest of the DJs." And like, I knew like at about 12 o'clock, I had nothing left. Like, I was gonna have to play every song over, and I had nothing left. So luckily the party got shut down at like 12:30. And it was like, and from then on, like, I just started getting booked for all the major UC events, whatever group, intramural sport, club, fraternity, sorority. It didn't matter. I was just wherever they let me spin, I was spin. And then out of town gigs started happening, and it just really got surreal. Like when I started doing like stuff with celebrities, like that's when I would say I was like, okay, we might be doing something. The first celebrity who I actually did something for, who I actually DJ for, was Future. So he wasn't really Future at the time. Like he wasn't really nobody at the time, but I was like, I felt like some kind of way that I could make him somebody. Like I felt like I could bring him something that he didn't have. But really, he was just a star. Like, so I did, when I did that Future concert, I started taking pictures with people, and I started seeing like how, how marketing works. I started seeing how that works. I just kind of made sure that my marketing was better than everybody's, and my product was better than everybody's, and I was going to outwork people. And, it developed. It developed. We're doing a lot now. I would say I kind of like got screwed over more than any DJ, like coming into it, like because I was just so naive, and like I had like no real business experience. I was an entrepreneur like very, very early. Like I started my first business like real young, but this was like a different animal, a different beast. Like it wasn't just business to consumer. It was like business to business. Like, so I had to negotiate. I had to do a lot of stuff that I didn't have to do at first. Like I had to reach out to people who I never reached out to. I didn't know about egos. I didn't know about promoter wars. I didn't know about any of that. So like I kind of like I would say I shot myself in the foot. To be honest, like, I had to climb out of a real deep hole from those first 2 years of me DJing. I've probably been not paid for gigs. Like, during my first 2 years, I had like a weekly recurring gig that I didn't get paid for. Like, and it went on for almost maybe a year and a half.
Did they say they were going to pay you?
Yeah.
And they just never did?
Never did. And I kind of had to shift the narrative in my mind that I was winning, because like looking back at it, like when I was thinking about it and I was upset, like, man, damn, you said you were gonna pay me. I was like really in my mind, I had to look at it like I was the boss in the situation. Like, and that's about like just change your mind. So I'm like, okay, look, instead of me feeling like I'm not getting paid here, I'm paying you guys to do a marketing service for me. Like, by you guys doing your job very well, you bringing all these people to these clubs, you are putting me on a platform that I would never have been on my own. And I'm soaking up all the knowledge about how to talk to these promoters and how to, build a crowd for myself. So, like, I wouldn't take that back. Like, all that time that I got, all the time that I spent, like, getting played by promoters out of money, getting ran off on, promoters taking off after the club, after the night is over with, and, all that helped me to, to learn to send contracts, to not trust people, to develop actual relationships with people before I do business with them, and to negotiate with venues, to throw my own events, and to just like build a solid customer base. Like that's something that I would have never learned had I never, been worked over.
That's true. I mean, hey,
I feel like that time in the trenches really like kind of made me grind so hard when, I did start to finally see something, because it was like, man, once I get past this step, I can really grow. So that was my thing. Like, I wasn't measuring success the same way that everybody else was. Like, everybody else was getting paid and being happy, and I definitely would have been happy to get paid. Okay, but like, I did have an option. I did have an option at that time. I was like, I could either give up this personal crowd of people that come and loves me, like who I've built up with, like you know what I'm saying, like week after week. It really teaches you how to. It teaches you how to be a better DJ for one, and it teaches you um, the nature of people. Like so, people when they like feel like they're coming up with you, or when you're coming up right in front of their eyes, like they love you that much more. So I was like, you know what, I'm here. I'm here with y'all. Like we all here together. We, people watching me come up, and it's gonna be beautiful when I finally get there. And I feel like those same people who was with me at the Mad Frog when I was DJing in there with just me and like 7 people, those the biggest supporters. If I start selling T-shirts, they'll buy them. If I, they be the first ones to comment on my photos. They always just root for me. So I definitely had to change the way I measure success. Like now it's just like making people happy for real. Like I could, I still do stuff. I still do stuff for free just for the marketing benefit, or just because it's for a good cause. Like I DJ at Rockdale. I DJ more events for the children at Rockdale so much. They know me by name when I walk through the hallway. They like DJ. I'm actually a pretty well-known celebrity over there, if I do say so. Okay, the book is called "I Eat My Cereal Like a Boss," and I love that title. Right, um, that title was kind of inspired by my journey as a DJ, to be honest, because I spent a lot of time not feeling like I was in control of you know the outcomes that I was bringing to myself. So I felt like I used to regret doing a lot of things, and I had to had that mental shift in my mind so that I can move forward. Because if you stuck on stuff, it'll stick with you forever, and it'll hinder your growth. Like I used to regret the way I used to talk to people. I used to regret because I would never um just grovel with people. It seemed like you had to beg to get a DJ gig back in the day, because everybody knew exactly who the main DJs were, and they were not trying to, mess with nobody new. So it was like I never was the one to be all up under the promoter and beg and try to, constantly hit him up and ask him and ask him and ask him. And I used to really regret that. And I used to be like, man, this is why I'm not in a good position to where I am. And I would be like, the decisions that I made about sticking to my price when everybody was like, we don't know who you are. You need to go a little cheaper. Like, we don't know you. Like, decisions about that. Like, before Know Your Worth King was out, before that phrase was out, I was struggling with knowing my worth. I was struggling with um, every negotiation. I would always feel like I gave up too much, and I would just regret it. And I would be like, you know what? I'm exactly where I should be. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I'm perfectly, exactly where I want to be, but it's given what I did, and I'm happy with myself, I can feel just as much. I can feel like a boss that I really am. You know what I'm saying? The same way I had to shift the narrative on how I thought about going to a packed club every week and not getting paid. I had to shift the narrative on a lot of things, and it really helped me grow. I can say now, um, when I shifted the narrative on how I engage with the club owners, it made me the it put me in the best financial situation I've ever been in. So instead of talking to promoters, I started to talk to owners. I started to negotiate the same deals that promoters would do as a DJ, which was something that we hadn't seen. I started to not, I started to turn down cliquish opportunities, and that's another thing. I would regret that, and then it was just okay, I'll put all that energy into myself, and and it made my brand bigger. Like, so it's been a learning process, and I put all those like lessons that I learned in the books into that book, and you know, and the people that helped me make those decisions along the way, like, cause Lord knows I had plenty of help. You know, I would be talking to people like, man, I feel like they're trying to play me. I feel like they're trying to play me. How should I talk to them? They like, yeah, man, you need to boss up on them. Or sometimes they be like, nah, they ain't trying to play you. So I just put like all those like minute details into that book, and hopefully somebody that's in my field or anywhere just close to just like young and just needing like to reaffirm that they are who they say they are, like they'll love it. They'll love it. I eat my cereal like a boss. When you think about the title, it's like it's almost disrespectful. Like, how do you eat your cereal like a boss? Like, you know what I'm saying? And in reality, it's just a metaphor. It's like I'm not putting on a pinstripe suit whenever I eat cereal. It's like, but I start my day off with this notion of who I am. Like, I have to, and I start reaffirming myself from the time that the day start, so I can engage in every conversation, knowing who I am nowadays. So I don't regret as much. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't have no regrets no more, because I know whatever I did, whether it resulted in this or it resulted in that, I did it like a boss, and I can live with that. Oh, that was good.
That was cool. We got 5 minutes.
Well, pancake flipping was my first breakfast-oriented marketing effort. So like pancake flipping, I really took myself seriously as a rapper. I can't believe you asked me this, but so yeah, I wanted to be a rapper. Like I said, I mentioned that earlier. I thought I was good at making music, and I knew I wanted to be around hip hop. So I just wanted to pick a title that was just like so out there, and that's what I do. Like, if you notice that I eat my cereal like a boss. So I walked around campus for like a year and a half telling everybody that I had this album coming. Nobody believed me because I would talk about it so much, and I would push the date back further and further. and then people started to remember the date, so I kind of had to produce it. like I think like the night before it was supposed to come out, I like recorded this album on my computer somehow, and pancake flipping. It went. People bought it. I charged $5 for it. I made like $200 like in a day.
Swear.
I did. Yeah. Everybody was singing it. My MySpace was jumping. Like I was doing features. My MySpace was jumping. Yo, I had all the friends. People was trying to get in my top 8 left and right. I was famous. I was famous for like 8th to 10th grade for that.
MySpace days were real.
I'm glad I did that though, cause it showed me about like, for real, it really set the foundation for I eat my cereal like a boss, because like it sounds very ridiculous, pancake flipping, like that. The title of that sounds very ridiculous. Chill, but the title of that sounds so ridiculous. You like, really, dude, and it's gonna catch your attention, and then like. And it'll stick with you, like, which is kind of like what influenced the book. I eat my cereal like a boss. Like, you happy? Just gonna bring that up, man.
Looking at that, this is more than a 10 year.
I probably would. Oh man, I don't know if I could just listen to just one song. I can't even just listen to one song. I don't know. Let me see. Probably Kanye West. It's got to be Kanye. It's got to be some Kanye. Like, first album Kanye, though. Like, I want to say All Falls Down, Through the Wire, one of those. Through the Wire. It'd be Through the Wire. I felt like that was a good choice. Like,
Not bad at all.